Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining in to us, everybody, today. We're going to get started here pretty quick. Just going to give a couple seconds here for people to come in. Thanks so much for joining us. If you have not been to one of our webinars before, you should be seeing this broadcast right here directly in the middle of your screen. And down below, you will notice a chat area. Feel free to chat with us as we are going through this webinar. If you have any questions at all that come up during, feel free to pop them in there. We will have one of our team members on standby to help you guys out with any questions you have. So feel free, and just to make sure that's working, if you guys want to, go ahead and let us know where you guys are tuning in from. Just pop in city, state. If you're from another country, that's super cool. We'd love to hear from you guys, so we just want to make sure everything is working. Well, thanks so much. I'm going to switch over here so you guys can see my smiling face. Hi, everyone. All right, well, thanks so much for joining us today, and I am excited to get to the topic at hand. I definitely know it is getting to be warmer weather. Hope you guys are having some nice warm weather wherever you're tuning in from. I know here in Southern Oregon it is getting pretty hot, and as we are in the summer season now, definitely one of the areas that becomes a bit of a concern for some churches is giving. And so we want to talk about the online giving options for you guys, and really how online giving has such potential to impact your ministry and really help you guys out. Traditionally speaking, the church does not hop on bandwagons too quick when it comes to newer methods that are out there of doing things, which is all well and good, but definitely online giving has grown to be, especially within the past few years, one of the most formidable methods of impacting your giving overall. So I'm going to go ahead and turn you guys back over to my screen so you can see a little presentation I've got worked up for you guys, and we'll discuss some of the benefits of online giving. I want to start, though, let me switch you over here. I want to start you guys, though, with just a little bit of understanding and perspective of kind of what's going on in our culture. Stuff you probably won't be too surprised by, but still some good information, statistics, just to kind of give us a proper idea of what we're looking at. So, as you will see on my screen, I've got this thing here that says Giving by Christians, and I've got what I like to call the Christian meter or the Give-O-meter or whatever you want to call it. It's just a little thing I've got dialed up there. And you can see I've got this number here, 247 million. And that number is in reference to how many U.S. citizens claim to be Christians. Now, let's look at that a little bit closer. Now, of the 247 million that claim to be Christians, 99 million say that they go to church on a regular basis. You can see my little dial spun back some there. And of all of that, only about 1.5 million actually tithe any money to their church. Ouch. And little depressing to look at, but for then and now comparison, Christians today give less per capita than during the Great Depression. Okay, well, let's kind of look at some other stuff here too, not to be discouraged completely, but let's look at some other stuff here that might help provide a better idea of a broader picture of what's going on. So when we're looking at giving methods and different things like that, one thing I want to point out is about 61% of people under the age of 24 never write checks these days. People have been asked, 61% under the age of 24 never write checks. Okay, so they're obviously not giving through a paper method of checks. And then 74% of tithers in general only write one check per month. Do you think that's the giving check? I don't know. So they're saying that they only write one check per month. I'll say for myself specifically, the only thing I ever do with checks in the past was just write up something for tithe. I never had really any other purpose for it because that was the best way my church was able to kind of keep track of that stuff for me. Now, also another good statistic to look at, because a lot of times when we tend to be hesitant about adopting new technology, we think of current members of the church, and specifically also the as my pastor calls them, the more experienced Christians of the church. The number that we're looking at here is donors over the age of 65 giving online. 59% of donors over the age of 65 say they give online. Okay, so that number is actually exponentially grown over the past few years. If you would have asked that question about 3 years ago, the number was more like 29%. But now, with the adoption of technology, as more and more people, and they're even seniors and things like that, have adopted smartphones and gone online more and things like that, they are starting to use that technology much more. And also other statistics, I don't have that listed here, other statistics show that they're more regularly using it on a daily basis too, which is very interesting. And then 60% of tithers, so now we're looking again at the overall picture of tithers in general, give or will consider giving digitally. So that's pretty close to what you actually look at for folks over the age of 65, 59%, and then just the general number, 60% of tithers give or will consider giving digitally. So that's good information, because that tells us, all of these numbers are in the majority that we're looking at. So we can see that there's a large group of people out there, it's the majority of people out there, who really seek to benefit from having a method of giving digitally. And again, this information here is just to help us kind of understand and get an idea of what's happening as technology is growing, as different methods are coming out that people can interact and communicate and give. Digital transactions are actually becoming more popular over traditional methods like cash or check. I don't know if you can ask most people, probably generally, and not a lot of people these days carry their checkbook or cash on them at all times. So having something that's a method that is more accessible is definitely is definitely going to make a big impact on how people are giving to your church. So that's all well and good. I mean, that kind of gives us an idea here. But I want to look specifically today with you guys and talk to you about Sharefaith giving. So obviously, when we talk about online giving, if you're tuning into this webinar, my guess is you're already sold on the idea of online giving, or you're looking to just understand it better. And so that's what we want to do here. And I want to give you guys some information about Sharefaith giving and how that how that stands out from other competition when it comes to online giving platforms. So the first thing I want to point out, because this is probably going to be one of your biggest deciding factors when you're looking at stuff, is competitive giving rates. Now, one of the great things I should say with Sharefaith giving is that there is no membership fees or anything like that. If you are a Sharefaith member for whatever packages that we have, for our media, our websites, our complete package, our Sunday school, anything like that, you already have access to become a Sharefaith giving member as well. So on top of that, having some of the most competitive rates out there. You can look at different providers out there, and they might provide, a method of handling digital transactions for comparable fees, but on top of competitive rates, we're talking additional features here that the church can really utilize, such as recurring donations. So this just opens the doors for people to be able to set up, if you are the type of person that you give regularly, you have an amount that you give all the time, a lot of people do that, then they can set up recurring donations for themselves, so they don't have to worry about forgetting. So they don't have to worry about whether or not they did it this week, or if they forgot to, write that check or anything like that. I was just sharing personal experience with one of my coworkers because, talking about this today, sure enough, we had written the check for our donations and totally forgot it. So that's where, having that access to be able to go online and do our giving right there, even if we forget something like that or we're out of town, is huge. Also, you can embed your forms on your website. So that's really handy because you have the option whether you want to link someone to a form, or you can even embed it right into your website so that it's seamless, so people can just come right to your page for it, and the form's right there. They can fill everything out on the spot and give within seconds. Also, a really neat feature that we'll explore a little bit more as we discuss things. And by the way, I'm gonna go through and give you guys a little bit of a tour for the Sharefaith giving software, so you can really see some of the nuts and bolts behind the scene as to how it works and all the different cool things we have back there for you. Text giving is a huge one that a lot of churches are starting to take more advantage of now. And depending on your situation, you heard some people say that text giving has grown faster than other online giving stuff that they've done too. So it just depends on the church, of course, but that's a really neat feature that just provides an instant method that folks can text a number to a phone number that you register and be able to give right on the spot. Also, a huge one for church administration, being someone who works, who volunteers in a church and stuff, and kind of seeing some behind the scenes stuff with how treasurers are doing things, I can tell you reporting is always a big issue, because ultimately when it comes down to it, if your volunteers or your staff members aren't able to understand how to use this platform, then what's the point in it? So we'll look a little bit at some of that stuff and just show you it's super versatile, being able to work with so many different platforms such as Excel, QuickBooks, Church Community Builder, and many others. All right, so I'm gonna jump out of here real quick and show you guys a little bit around different stuff here so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and pop open a browser. So I'm going to log into my Sharefaith Giving here. And this is a little demo account I've got set up for you guys. So this is the Sharefaith Giving interface. And again, I'm going to kind of go through things pretty quickly here, but I want to encourage you guys, if any questions do come up at all, definitely feel free to chat with us. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure that we do our best to answer any questions you guys have along the way. So here we are in the Sharefaith Giving dashboard, and so this dashboard just provides an overview of some of the stuff that's going on. We can see some events that have taken place with how users are going into the account and doing different things, and we can see a list of transactions. This is a demo account, so I don't have anything running in here right now, but we'd be able to see our past history on this line here, and if we have anybody set up to do recurring transactions, then the system can kind of give us an idea of what that schedule looks like for when those are supposed to come through. And it's nice because the recurring transactions are completely customizable by the people who are doing them, so they can choose how often the transactions come through, what the amount's for, and so forth. And so as I mentioned, no giving platform is truly complete without an awesome reporting system. So if we hop on over into here, what this would do is you'd kind of get an idea of day-by-day looks as to what your giving is looking like for each day, and pie charts that have different information for you, such as telling you like how much giving is done by credit or debit card, how much is done through e-checks, which is another alternative that they can do. You can look and see how much is going to each specific fund that you have set up, and some different information like that. So it kind of just gives you a general overview of your reporting. And then within each spot here, we can go in and go to, oops, if my hover will work, and go to transactions. And so here you'd have a full list of transactions. Again, I'm kind of working with a blank slate, so I'm sorry about that. But here you'd have a full list of transactions and be able to see everything as to when the transactions took place, who processed the transaction, where it was designated to, if you guys have any funds specifically that it was going towards, and then give you a total that you can look at here. Also from here you have the total freedom to go in, and so if somebody contacts you and says, hey, I accidentally gave too much there, I didn't mean to do that, or or something's come up, you can issue partial refunds, or if they even just need a copy of their receipt, you can process that all from in here. So you're given full control in that sense to be able to handle this. So the reporting system is pretty straightforward. Like I said, you have different areas, transactions. You can look at recurring. You can look at recurring and batches and everything from within here. Now, on top of that, of course, you need to have an intuitive system for giving forms. And these are the forms that people would use to fill out to be able to process everything. So the forms are really quite straightforward, actually. So you can see I have a few in here already, but I'll create a new one. And with the form, you can call it whatever you want. It's more for your purposes, just so you understand what the form is being used for. We could even say this could be set up for kids fundraiser. And then you can choose all kinds of different things from in here. It gives you lots of freedom and options, so you can have different types. If this is a form for giving, which it is, then we'll have that marked. If this was something like a paid event, maybe a concert or something that your church is putting on, you could change that to be more specific for you. And then you can also choose the layout. So there's different, either you can have it kind of a three-step process where they put in a little bit of information along each step, or you can do a single page that just has everything laid out. You can set this up to be used at a kiosk where it'll just revert back to the form's default look after somebody's done, so that it doesn't flag flash a receipt or anything like that. So you have lots of different things that you can play with in here, and there's additional fields that you can adjust, such as if you want them to be able to, if you want to require people to have the billing address, phone number, email, that kind of stuff. If you want to allow recurring transactions through this form, there's even an option that you can turn on where somebody can elect to cover any transaction fees for the church, which is really neat. So of course this won't require somebody to do that. You can't do that to them, but you can tell folks like, hey, if you would like to cover this transaction fee for your church, it'll add such and such amount to your bill, so that way ultimately they, so for example, like if they want to donate $50, it would add an amount over $50 that would be $50 for you once the transaction fees come out, if you understand what I'm saying. So you can go through and add all these kinds of things if you want to, completely optional, and then save it. And then once it's saved, it'll display here in your list. So there you go. My kids fundraiser form is now available. And all I have to do if I want to put it on the site is go down to action, and then I can get the code right here. Now I can do other things too. I can, let's say I want to add a fund for it. So I can just drag and drop a box in here, and we'll call it the Kids Fundraiser Fund. And funds, by the way, are just essentially labels to help you understand where the amount is going towards, and you understand the purpose for it. So it's not just something that's just generally thrown into your bank account, but the people donating might have a specific fund that they're intending it to go towards. So they can choose all that when they're doing it, and we can update it there. So then we'll save that, and now I can get the code. And then getting the code, we've just got the options here, so we can either put in a button, or we can, an iframe is a fancy word for basically saying we're going to embed the form so people can see it right on the site and be able to take care of it through there. Secure URL is just if we want to link to it. And then down here, this is a QR code. Now this one is something you may not use necessarily all the time. However, you will have the option if you want to which is great for print resources and being able to like if you have a bulletin or a flyer. Okay, sorry about that. So here in the QR code, I was going to say you can use this for bulletins, you can use this for flyers. So if you're promoting any events going on, or if you want to have a quick and easy way that people can give, like from your church bulletin even, you can have it so somebody with a smartphone can scan these QR codes and be able to be taken instantly to your giving forms. So like I said, I would just get the code, and I'll click See Live so you can see an example of what the form will look like once we're done. So it pulls up this option here, and we can see it actually has a list of our account up here. If you guys have a church logo, you can put that in as well, and it will actually display your logo up here, so everything is just branded for your purposes. If you have accounts enabled, which most likely you will, folks can log into their account, and with the accounts they can actually save billing information and things like that, so it just makes it faster and secure for them to be able to donate whenever they want to. Or they could register for an account through here as well. So that's it just all right through the form itself. So now we can say how much we want to donate, put in the amount, and we've got Kids Fundraiser selected. We can even add a gift. If there's other funds to choose from, they can split things up and donate multiple amounts. And if they want to leave any comments, such as for kids jackets, so if they want to be a little bit more specific as to what it's for or anything like that, they can do that here. And then once we hit next, they would just provide their actual information. We could plug in some stuff. I'll put in my name. And just some example here. So they just plug in their information, and then the last screen they see is just where they put in their information, their billing details. So here, you can see the options that are available are e-check and debit card. The benefit to e-check, if they pay that way, is as you might have seen on one of the slides I was showing you before, there's a little bit lower transaction rate. So there's a setting where you can have that be the first option that they see when they come to it. Otherwise, if you feel like that isn't really just what you don't mind either one way or the other, you can have debit card be the option too. And so they can plug all that information in here. And if this form had the box checked to allow them to cover the fees, they would see a little spot down here where it would give them that information as to how much it would be if they want to do that. And they could just check the box to tack that on. All right, and then once they're done, they hit Give Now, and they're done. They get a receipt from your system. It emails them automatically, and you can even go in. We'll go back to the form. You can even go in and customize how that receipt would look. If you go into the Actions and Edit Receipt, you can tell this however you want it to say. Obviously, it will include the necessary information that they need, but then you can put in a personalized message for them, and you can do that for each individual form. So very straightforward, very easy to do. With getting the code, you just copy it and put it onto your site. And I can actually pull up a site here so you can see an example of what that would look like. We'll go to a test site we have. So down here, you can see we have a form embedded on the site, and it looks just like the one I was showing you before, only it's actually on the website, so people can see it and be able to donate right from your website. And it's nice that it has a little secure message, so it informs them that the form is embedded, but it is secure, so they don't have anything to worry about for providing their billing details through here, because it is secured and made sure that none of the information is being able to be recorded or kept by anything. So, and now on top of giving forms, and again, if you guys have any questions about what we've discussed at all so far, feel free to chime in and let us know. On top of giving forms, though, another neat ability is event registration. So event registrations are a little bit different. They're still a form, but they're a little bit more sophisticated. Now, as you can see, some example events we have here, especially like VBS registration. I'm sure a lot of you folks are tuning in and have churches that are having VBS start soon, or are already planning on when that's going to start. So if you want to include a form, and it doesn't have to be a paid form either. That's one of the nice things about this. If you just want to have some option that people can go to your website and register for stuff, whether or not there's any fees involved, this is a great platform. So for the VBS registration, well, first I'll create a new event so we can see an example here. So let's say we want to put on a benefit concert. Oops. So we can title it whatever we want right here. And then down here under the time of event, we can specify the date that it's going to take place on. So we can say June 28th, and then what time, and then you can provide location and description. So we can say church, and whatever description you would like. Now here you can specify if there's going to be a limit for how many people can come. So if you know, like, hey, we've only got so many seats, if this is going to be a seated event, you can specify that in here, so when people are going on, it can inform them if you're out or not, and if there's going to be any fees. So if you just leave it at 0, then it's a free event and they can still use the form to register for it, so you have all that reported to you. But if you are going to have any fees for the event, like if you have a $5 fee to cover some stuff, or whatever it could be, then you can plug that in here, so they would have to pay for it then when they do that. So let's say $5 for a fee. Now on top of that, the advanced section, you can just go through, you can specify, what's being sold. Is it tickets, is it reservations, is it seats, like, whatever's the appropriate term for it, your time zone, and this tells you when you can start receiving, like when you guys are going to accept registrations and when that ends. And again, you can also enable this for kiosks. So if you're going to have any kiosks set up at your church where people can register through this, then you can do that there. And the fields is the basic fields such as address, phone, and email. So we can create the form then. Now, I'll go into the VBS registration form because I've created some stuff so you can see it. But now, and when I open this up, you can see there's a few more options for events that forms don't have. We can quick view the registered. So if there's anybody who has filled out the form and registered through it, we can click and just get a general overview, kind of a bird's eye view of what who's registered and what's been registered for. And you can export it right here if you want to as well. On top of that, we can view transactions. So if it is a paid event, we can take a look at that and kind of see the list of transactions from it, and we can export a full report right here. Now the registration fields is where this gets a little bit more sophisticated. It's not difficult at all. It's really mostly just drag and drop stuff. But this is where you can do more within a registration, within an event form than you could in a standard giving form. So here you can see an example. This is a VBS registration form I just have mocked up, and I've just pulled in some different fields to be able to ask for specific things. So we can have the child's name of who's coming, t-shirt size was an example, or a t-shirt, like they can select whether they want a t-shirt. And the cool thing is you can even have ticket fee adjustments. So let's say if it's a free event, but if they want to select to have a t-shirt, maybe you have a fee involved for that then. So if you want to buy a t-shirt, then they could check this box to do so, and you can actually put in an adjustment so it will add that fee onto it. Just a little bit of information, you can even use this as a way of discounting. So like let's say, so you can say if people are doing like a big group and you want to provide a $5 discount if you're bringing 5 people, then you could have like a box where they could select, yes, I'm bringing 5 people, and then it would apply that $5 discount for them if you just put a negative in front of the number amount. So it's very versatile, gives you lots of different things to choose from. If I go ahead and close out of this, you can see these are some pre-made fields that are already mocked up, which just makes it super easy for you to just drag and drop it in. So if I want to bring an email field into here, I can just drag it in. I can rename the field if I want to. I can make it required. And then also if I want to provide any notes that they can see if they just need to understand what this is for. And then we can go down here, and so now that we have some pre-laid out ones, very common ones, name, address, city, state, all of that stuff. Or if you want to have more general ones, or you have a different idea of what you're going to use the field for, you can just drag something in. So like if you want a select field, you can pull that in, and you can make your own choices. Like let's say we put in t-shirt size as a select field, and then that could be something that they can choose from if they choose to purchase a t-shirt. And then here we can just put in some options. So, right up here where it says new option, we can put small, medium, large, and so forth. And then you can update it, and now you can see it will have all of those things plugged in, and we can just drag it to wherever we want it to show up on the form. So we can have it right here underneath t-shirt, and etc. So this is all just stuff that, just to give you an example of different things you can do. Now there's a couple different areas. This actually, in making the form, I moved a little bit too quick. This would be good for the second spot, because you'll have a form where at the beginning it asks for just general, like you can have more general information asked of. So like if a parent's filling this out, like this spot would be good to have like a parent's name and their information and things like that. And then they could have in this next area spots for their children. That way if they have multiple children that are coming, so that's an example here for VBS. If they have multiple children that are coming, you can then ask for the children's name, t-shirt, all of that stuff in this spot. So there's a general area that asks for whoever's filling out the form, their information, and then if it's going to be other details that you need for each person coming, then you have a second spot here where you can put in fields for all of that stuff. All right, so once we've saved it, again, it's the same thing. We can then go to put it onto our website or see it live, and you can see here we have this form set up, and it'll tell them like, oops, sales have ended for this event, so this is an old one that we did. Then you can see all that within here. So again, the events are a little bit more sophisticated. You can do a lot more with them, but it's a really neat tool that you can just go plug in all your information, embed it onto your site, and then people can go through and register right up through there. So it's a really effective tool for that. Again, so if you guys are having any questions, feel free to pop in and let us know. And then at the end here, if there are any questions that you guys have in particular that my team member here will be able to help me with, then we'll take a look at those for you guys. All right, and so the last thing I'm going to show you real quick, so I've showed you, we've talked about the reporting, we've talked about giving forms, we've talked about events. Last thing I just want to show you is how people can go through and they can create their own donor accounts. And so this is really nifty for the people who want to be able to track their own giving. It'll allow them to do that so they can see actually how much they've given per year. Now in this side of things, all you're doing is you're able to see the donor accounts that are set up. you can go in and you can edit information for them if need be, but they'll actually be able to go through and update all that information themselves. It's just if you have someone in particular who maybe doesn't see how to do it or isn't familiar with how to do it on their end, then you can help them out here. And you can do things like edit their billing information, payment method. You can reset the password for them within here. You can view the transactions that have taken place through them. So it's a really neat tool that helps people so that they can even go on and kind of see what their own giving looks like. They can manage their own billing details through there. And again, it just makes it faster and easier for them in the future to be able to go through and make donations if they want to. And it's a secure system, so you can't go in here and see their exact billing details. You would just get enough to basically inform them of what they have in there so they know the general idea of what card they're using. So with this, they can go in, they can monitor their own account and everything like that. So that's a really cool tool. And other things I talked about, I'll just show you some cool account stuff here before we close out and have time for questions and answers. Down here under the add-ons is one of the biggest things I'll show you here. So if I go to the organization and add-ons, this is where we can enable other cool features such as integration with Church Community Builder. So this is a nice thing if folks here have memberships with Church Community Builder, church management software, and you do your reporting and everything through them. So you can enable this add-on, and what it'll do is it'll synchronize the reporting from Sharefaith Giving with your Church Community Builder account, so everything is monitored and accessible through them. So it just means that you only have to go to one location to be able to view it all. Now if you don't have them, and maybe you have one of these other ones, like if you have Breeze or ACS Technologies or any of these other management software programs that you do your financial reporting through, then you can choose to enable any of these just so that way it exports the details in a format that they can read. Otherwise, if you don't have any of this, it will export your reports in a CSV file, which is something that you can open up in Excel, in QuickBooks. So a lot of programs will read that format, and so it's pretty universal for most things. So you have a lot of versatility here with working with other programs that you already use as well. And then, of course, I wanted to show you guys where you can access Sharefaith text giving. So if you enable this add-on, there is a $10 monthly fee associated with it. That's just to cover your taxes and fees and things like that for having the phone number to use. And then you can search for your own phone number right from within the system, so you can plug in whatever you want. If you want to put in a specific area code and see what numbers are available in that area code, then voila, you can see a whole list that appears. You can even be more specific, like if you only want to see ones that have, say, 647 in them, then you can search for that, and it breaks it down to all the ones that have 647 in those. Or you can even use letters if you want to try and see if there's something that maybe has a specific word in it that you could tell people, you know, like one of those things like you see on TV where it's like, just call 1-800, gotta get it, or whatever. Then you can go through and kind of see if there's anything like that for the area code that you're looking for. So once you find your number, then at that point you just have to let your congregation know what the number is, and they can put it in their phones to text it. And then you can set up funds for them to be able to get to. So there's a default fund where if they just text an amount, it just goes in there, and you can see all that in your reporting as to what is text giving. Or you can even add keywords if you want to have options for specific funds. This is a really awesome feature whenever you have like a guest speaker, or perhaps a special outreach that you're doing, or a special ministry that you're funding. Then you can tell people simply to text, you know, the amount along with this keyword to be able to make sure that they donate to that fund specifically. Let's see, an example, we could put in keyword youth, and then let's say if we have a fund, we can just call it youth group fund, for example. Then we can add the keyword, or sorry, we'll update it. You can add keyword if you want to put in more in there. You can put as many as you want. And then you can see how this works. It kind of explains it up here. All they have to do is type in the amount that they want to donate and then include the keyword after that, and it will automatically go to that fund. So text giving is very easy to set up, and again, we've had some pretty awesome responses from people who said that they've been using it at their churches, and they said that it's grown popularity quite quickly. And the nice thing is that way anyone with a cell phone can give. Even if it's not a smartphone, they can still text, and so they can plug in the amount and be able to do that, and it's just a flat rate, $10 monthly fee. Doesn't matter how many texts come through for you or anything like that. So no matter what, that's all you're paying, so that's really nice. All right, and then I know I keep saying last thing, but I don't want to forget anything here. So the other thing, of course, is that it's important to make sure that whatever system you're using is team friendly. And I'll leave this page here. So what I mean by that is the ability then to go through and actually plug in, multiple users. So if you want to have, say, somebody who is going to be your treasurer accessing this to be able to pull their reports, then you can do that. And there's different restrictions that you can place. So you can have perhaps whoever the main person is that's using this account should be the administrator. And you can add more administrators if you want to, simply by selecting their role down here. But you'll notice there's a couple of other options that we have available. Now, the administrator, like I said, has complete access, can do everything, can monkey with all the settings that are in here. If you don't want people monkeying with all the settings and you just want them to stick to specific things, we have the option to have an accountant, which could be your church treasurer or anyone who's basically just trying to pull the financial reports out of here. So they'll only have access to the reporting system and anything related to billing and transactions that they need for their records. The other option is a webmaster. The webmaster is the alternative to that. So they don't have access to the financials, but they'll have access to the forms and the event registration areas, so they can create those and be able to put them on your website as you need to. And whereas the accountant, as was kind of implied earlier, they don't have access to that area, so they can't fiddle with anything that's supposed to be going on your website on accident. So that's just a way that you can break things up and be able to have people who only are limited to certain areas. And I know especially if you have somebody who's not used to going to an online giving system, it's good to break it up so that way they're not too overwhelmed when they come to it and don't get lost in terms of where they need to go to find what they need. So that's essentially it in a nutshell. There's lots of other features here that I would love to show you guys, but I'm not going to have a ton of time for today. I want to make sure that we go through and have some time. If there are any questions that are coming through at all, let me know here. And if you guys don't have any questions, we'll stay on for a little bit. But that's essentially it. This Sharefaith giving, the thing is, one other thing I want to point out before we go is, how quickly things like mobile giving have grown in popularity. I know I've talked a bit about text giving, but also it goes beyond that to where, even having something as like a mobile responsive form is so important. And show you my fancy slides here. So having something with a mobile responsive form is so important because now as things have changed and as people are accessing the internet, more and more people are using their smartphones to be able to do everything through, including accessing the internet. In fact, smartphone usage has surpassed standard computers in terms of being able to go online with. More people are using their devices like smartphones and tablets than ever before. And so we have options like text giving, and having an option like a mobile-friendly form is imperative to the success of how well your online giving platform is going to be adopted. And also having something that can give within an app. So if you are already a Sharefaith member, you'll know that with our complete membership, we include a church app for our members. So that's something that people can actually install and be able to access from their devices. And with that, the nice thing is that your app can have a direct link to your giving forms, so it's just that much faster and easier for people in this day and age where we're just, we're so busy, we're in a hurry all the time. Having something that they can just tap open and click a link and then be good, and they can process everything right from within, just makes it so much more convenient in the long run for people to be able to do. So having something like that is a huge thing in this day and age as mobile platforms are rising and not looking to stop anytime soon as the trend continues to grow. And if you are a smartphone user, you'll know that, and that's probably something that's very important to you as well when you're looking at a giving platform. Making sure that you can just go on your phone and be able to do it with a couple clicks is a huge, huge improvement. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. And again, I appreciate you guys so much. We'll be on for a little bit longer, so if you do have any further questions for us, let us know. If you have specific questions about your Sharefaith account or Sharefaith giving that you want to talk to our product ambassadors about or our member coaches just for a little bit more one-on-one help with that, definitely check out support.sharefaith.com. That's where you'll be able to find all of our information. We have FAQs and articles there about Sharefaith giving and all of our other resources. And you can also submit a request for any of our member coaches or product ambassadors to follow up with you. So if you have further questions you'd like more details on, you can definitely check that out. Well, thanks again so much, everyone. I appreciate you coming. And let me pray for you before we head out. Father God, I thank you so much for all the folks who joined us here today. And Lord, I know that they're looking to find ways to really help just impact giving and encourage their congregation to give more. And Lord, we just ask that you would be good stewards of the finances that come through with whatever platform they're using. Lord, I ask that you would give them knowledge and insight into how they should open up those doors for people to be able to give, how they can make use of today's technology to be able to make things more accessible and be able to cater to the people who are out there today who are looking to be a part of a ministry and help it grow. So Lord, I just ask that you would be with them and give them guidance and all of that. And Lord, we thank you. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, amen. Thanks again so much. We'll be on for a little bit longer, guys. We appreciate you. We hope you guys have a great day. God bless.